The Kraken has a song to sing, and the first verse is the sound of you drowning. I always loved to swim in the ocean. For some reason, I could hold my breath for long periods of time, which let me stay under the surface for an ungodly amount of time. I also had good arm and leg strength, which is how I can swim around quickly. My parents knew this ability, and they often took me to the beach for me to enjoy swimming around for hours, swimming around like my life depended on it. The sea was a big part of my life, and it was like family to me. I loved it, and I never wanted it to go. When I turned just about 23, I got a job as a diver. My task was to explore the seafloor, as only 5% of the sea was discovered. But due to my unique lungs, not something that my doctor can even explain, I can last just about half an hour underwater without air. Some have joked that I am just a waterproof robot, but it's hard to explain to people who don't listen. Are you ready for your next mission? Those were the words of my boss informing me of my task. I needed to explore the area around an area called the Challenger Deep, which is located at the southern end of the Marianas Trench. It's pretty deep, and water pressure can be difficult to deal with. But despite my boss insisting that I get a submarine to help with my safety, I promised him that I'd come back in one piece. And even if I die, my research could help a new generation of sea exploration. Which he finally agreed and let me go. I was sitting on the boat taking me there, and I was slowly approaching the destination. The boat driver slowed down the boat as we were directly above the Challenger Deep. Just note, I was ordered that once you leave the boat, you aren't allowed back on until at least an hour. No turning back. Are you sure you're ready? I nodded my head, and after putting on my dive gear so I can see, and attaching a camera, which was waterproof, which should be obvious, to me so I can record my findings, I plunged into the water and started swimming down. The sea was slowly getting darker and darker. I haven't seen any sea animals around yet, which was a little concerning, but I couldn't go back. So I pushed forward and continued to swim down. I turned on my flashlight once it got too dark, where I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see any organisms this deep. Normally, this would be the part of the sea where you find animals like sharks or special fish, but nothing. Did I come at the wrong time? Or am I this stupid as a human male to notice anything? Whatever it is, it truly beats me. Once I swam deep enough, I saw something. A shipwreck. It was worn and torn to bits. It's like a Kraken assaulted it and dragged it to the sea, to a place no one except me and maybe the chance of a fish or something to see, to ever find it. Of course, that can't be the case. Krakens don't exist, right? My thoughts pondered as I swam even closer to the ship. I swam inside the boat through a hole that was on the outside. It looked like a place where people would live. There were cabinets, dining items, and I even found a chest filled with nothing. I truly thought something was here, which is why I am down here. My camera was recording all of this, which was a good idea, since I probably couldn't prove this all on my own. But after a few minutes of looking around, I realized it had been 25 minutes. I needed air. If I could swim back up quickly, I could get some oxygen and swim back down. So, after I said my goodbyes to the ship, I swam out of the ship and started my swim to the surface. But the sea had other plans. There was a rush of water and I was almost blown off course. I saw a bunch of slimy, tentacle-like tendrils as it was followed up by a metallic screech. And then I saw its horrifying face. The face of a massive squid. Or, in other words, a kraken. I spent no time trying to swim away, but it swung its tentacle at me, barely missing me. I panicked so badly that I dropped my flashlight. I couldn't swim back down to get it, even if I managed to evade the kraken. Going to grab the light would waste time for me to reach the surface, which could lead to drowning. I was distracted, and it grabbed me, its slimy tentacle wrapping around me tightly. I felt a massive rush of air leave my lungs. It felt as if my ribcage was being damaged, and I would be squeezed to death. It held me in front of it, and it squeezed me even harder. Normally, if I was on the surface, I'd scream in pain, but I'm underwater. I can't do that. No one can hear me. No one can see me. It wasn't doing anything. It was just tightening its grip as it gawked at me. And then, still holding me, showed its spiny teeth and was pulling me closer and closer. I tried to squirm free, but its grip was too tight. I couldn't break free. I had a small pocket knife for emergency purposes, and it happened to be right where my camera was, on a rope-like necklace. I tore it off and proceeded to stab it deep into the kraken. It screeched in pain as it lost grip of me because it was too focused on the wound. I took the knife out of it so it could bleed out, although, from its massive size, it can't die from blood loss from a wound so minor. I managed to escape the sights of the kraken, but I ran out of air, and after trying to push through, it wasn't enough, and I drowned. But I was revived later via CPR. The boat driver saw my body and broke his order to get my limp body to the boat, where he soon drove me to shore. I was sent to the hospital, and an X-ray scan showed that, except my skull, my entire body, especially my rib area, received significant damage. And while it wasn't lethal and I could still live, I would need intensive recovery. And too much movement could slow down the process. I was driven back to my job They decided that, due to the injury, I should take my stuff home, as I was going to take a break from working. So, I was forcibly suspended, or whatever the word is. When we arrived, I immediately went to the bathroom and took off my shirt. There was a massive black bruise on my stomach. It looked like a line with circles. Touching it hurt badly, obviously, but this was a new type of pain. It felt as if I was being hit with burning rocks in the bruised area each time I touched it. I put my shirt back on, grabbed my stuff, and left the workplace, driving home. We didn't tell the doctors and nurses about the footage or my adventure down into the Challenger Deep. They didn't think they would take us seriously. We decided not to publicly upload the footage to prevent anything rash happening. But the past is the past. There is nothing I can do. I still love the oceans.